Hi, folks. Um, Welcome to English 2346, Introduction to Poetry. I'm Kurt. I'm the instructor for the course. The purpose of this video is to go through just the basic rundown of the course, the syllabus, uh, navigate the Blackboard site, etc. So, what I'm going to do now is attempt to share the screen with you. Let's see here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is bring up our syllabus. Okay, so here we have our syllabus. It is extremely straightforward, at least I hope so. Here's my name, Kurt Meyer. Our course is asynchronous, meaning we don't meet at a particular time for class, so forth. Um, my office, my office hours, etc., for the summer are by appointment, and it'll be via Zoom. And typically, if you contact me via my Tamusa email and ask to meet with me, I will send you a link. But the code for my Zoom office is right here. Okay, and my email address, my preferred email address is this one, cmeyer@tamusa.edu. Course description. I'm not going to read through that entirely. Uh, you can read that at your leisure. Community agreement basically just means that, this course, by way of, discipline and so on, may deal with some topics that some people find challenging and so forth. And we want to, handle it like adults and so forth. And it is everything that we're going to cover is basically steeped in tradition, history, um, the discipline of the study of literature. So this is just a statement that makes you aware of that and lets you know that if you choose to stay in the course, that you abide by this community agreement. This is originally written, incidentally, by Dr. James Finley, and most of you, if you've taken literature courses here at Tamusa, you've probably seen something similar over the past couple of semesters. Okay, so getting to this course specifically. First of all, I acknowledge this is a 5-week summer course. And as such, there's a lot of holes in this in the reading list and so forth for the course. There's just a limited amount of stuff that we can actually cover. And frankly, I don't expect you to read or review everything I have listed every week. I just don't expect you to do that. I know that you'll have busy lives and so forth. When we get to the course, the Blackboard site, in a couple of minutes here, I will show you what I mean. But basically, what I'm gonna more or less ask you to do is look at a couple of poems, in the week, a poet that you may be curious about and so forth. Read their poems, or read one or more of their poems that I have listed. If you like that poet, if you're curious about that poet, look at the analysis of the poem, look at any of the other information that I have included about the poem, watch the documentary. In most cases, I include a documentary about the poet, and so forth, to ground their particular work, their particular life, their concerns, etc., within a historical context. Um, the poet that's going to figure the most prominently in the course, I can tell you, because he figures the most prominently pretty much in the past 200 years, with in British and particularly in American poetry, is going to be Walt Whitman. So some familiarity with Whitman is probably um, a a good thing if you want to sort of be rooted in sort of the continuing poetic tradition and so forth. And I've included a lot of material for you to do that. Again, I don't expect you to read or view everything that I've included. That's just it's impossible. In fact, some of the stuff I just put optional. More or less, almost everything is optional. And I do plan to, include also weekly video introductions for the week, so that I can kind of run through some of the stuff with you, point you in certain directions, etc. Okay, right here in bold, I do not expect you to read or view every piece during the week. Rather, I'm inviting you to discover what resonates with you, following the course of your curiosity. It's okay if not all the material appeals to you, right? So how then are you going to be assessed for the course? How is your grade determined? That's what everybody wants to know. Rightfully so, right? Understandably so. So basically, I'm just going to skip down. Incidentally, here are the list of assignments, right? And the dates. There are 10 assignments. Each assignment's worth 100 points. Everything is equally weighted. Everything is based on your effort on the assignment. So in essence, this is a form of labor-based or effort-based grading. First of all, though, let me skip down here. So you'll have 3 journals that you'll do, and those are basically brief one-page essays. Okay, you'll have 4 discussion board posts, 4 for discussion forum posts. Those are going to be 400 points total, right? You'll have a poetry project, the first draft, and basically the first draft, you essentially get 100 points for submitting something that allows me to get an insight into what you're doing, right? Then for the revision, that's 100 points. And then your final exam is a course retrospective. That's just an additional 2-page reflection that allows me to kind of get a window into what your experience in the course has been at that point. Okay. But each of the assignments are explained in brief up here. So for each journal, you're going to create a one-page cohesive essay that's, and basically when I say one page, I mean double spaced essay, reflecting upon what you're reading and your feelings about your insight into what you've been reading during that particular span of time. So that could include in poetry wise, right? So that could include what's some of the stuff that's been assigned. That could be stuff that you're reading or listening to and so forth outside of that, because really the range of what poetry is very broad, right? In my opinion, really what poetry does is it allows for people to engage with the specific, so that one can view something in a new way, have a new insight into something in a new way. That's often done through verse. That's often done through say hi to my class. Hi. They can't see you, but they can hear you. Oh, now they can see you. Yeah, that's my significant other. She's coming in the room here. This is very low tech, guys. I apologize. This is just me being me in my bedroom right now. It's the 4th of July. So anyway, but each journal that you complete, right, out of the 3 journals, it's just one page, and really there's no right or wrong here. I'm just asking you to be specific about what you're reading, about your insight into what you're reading and so forth. If you submit the full one page, double spaced, and I can tell that you're, engaged in it and making effort, that's 100 points. An incomplete version of that, say you only include a half a page or something like that, or you use like 14-point font or something to that effect, right? That's 50 points, right? Basically, just don't try to BS me, right? Or yourself, and you'll get full credit. Big deal. Discussion forums basically will run similarly. I give you a number of prompts for each discussion forum. you don't have to answer every prompt. I'm asking you to answer a single prompt per discussion forum. So you'll see when we get over there, it says this or this or this or this. You pick one, and then I give you an out, right? With all of them. And I basically say, if there's something just burning on your mind about relative to the poetry that we're looking at, that we're considering during that time, let us know, tell us what it is, right? So I give you that out. So for your um, initial post is 50 points, and then you need to comment on at least one person's post, right? And that will be your total of 100 points. Your poetry project, what I'm asking you to do is to engage with the poetry in some way, engage in and talk about, engage in, think about the significance or meaning behind particular poetry or particular ideas that we're going through in the semester, right? And to do this, and so there's different ways you can do this. You can write a traditional essay using a critical lens, right? Like feminism, deconstruction, new historicism, so on and so forth. And I'll include information on that on the course site in the next couple of weeks. It's not there now. Most everything is, though, but we're not going to get to the poetry project immediately, right? But you can go ahead and begin to think about it. So you can do a traditional essay. You can create a work of art in response to a work of art, right? Engaging with a work of art. So you can create a podcast, a work of art, your own poem, right? You can create your own poem in response to a particular poem or poet or something to that effect. You can be in conversation with a poet. We're going to look at a couple poems uh, that are, in fact, that's the smoke alarm. No worries, my house is not on fire. That's just what happens when the oven is used. Um, but anyway, um, yeah, we're going to look at several pieces, or you're going to have the option to look at several pieces that are, in fact, in conversation with the poetry of Walt Whitman, for example. Later poets, like 100 years later, or however, they engage with Walt Whitman, both positively and negatively. Uh, Also, you're going to look at other creative responses, like, for example, songs uh, uh, created based on poems. It means in a few cases, uh, video responses, video interpretations of a particular poem. Like, for example, we've got a whole video of the entire Rime of the Ancient Mariner that was professionally produced, that uses uh, the art of Gustave Doré. And so the art of Gustave Doré in and of itself is a creative response to something like the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And then, of course, we've got a number of that kind of thing with the Raven, for example, when we look at the Raven. Anyway, your initial draft, and we got a lot of time to delve into this, but your initial draft of the poetry project is 100 points. Your revised draft is 100 points. And all I'm asking for the revision is further development, either based on my feedback or your own further development. If you choose to not revise, right? In some cases, I may say, revision is optional for you. But if you choose not to revise, add an addendum. You'll just add an addendum when you resubmit it saying, hey, I chose not to revise and here's why. If you fail to do that when you resubmit your poetry project, you only earn 50 points at that time. And then your final exam, right, will be a course retrospective. And that is just a additional reflection where I'm just asking you to give me insight into your experiences into the of the course, whether that be positive, negative, whatever your experiences have been. Okay, so all the course material there is no textbook per se. All the course material is in course content on Blackboard, and I've got that linked in several places on the Blackboard site. You'll see that. What I've done for this course is I put all of the assignment links and everything in a folder called assignments within course content to make it easy for you. Um, the one due date that I have to be, well, two due dates that I have to be very, very ardent about. Okay. One is this first discussion board post. I need that by July 10th because that's the census date assignment. Again, because we're not meeting in person and in any context, right? I need something that is hard evidence that you are participating in the course. That evidence is going to be by at least your first post on this week one discussion forum, right? I need that by July 10th, and I will remind you about that. Okay. Um, then we got poetry, but then it just breaks everything down. The main, and I've got the course calendar linked in course content as well. But the date that you want to kind of keep a radar out for is August the 3rd, because then you've got two items due on that day. Um, and then, of course, the 8th and the 9th. The 9th is the last day of quote unquote class, and that's when your poetry project revision is due. And then the 9th is the quote unquote final exam, and that's just your course retrospective. But again, everything is equally weighted, right? So that makes it essentially effort based. This course is based on the effort that you put in the course. Now, specific items that you need to be aware of. All materials should be submitted as .docx or PDF files or links to YouTube videos, etc., using the provided assignments folder or as discussion threads as instructed. This is very, very important. I will not accept Google Docs or Pages. I will not accept Google Docs or Pages. Okay. Um, for those of you that know about Google Docs, Google has some wacky security on it. Okay, when it comes to Google Docs, I will not be able to access your Google Doc if you send me a link to a Google Doc. I will not be able to do that. Okay, I can guarantee you. And also, same thing for a dot pages. I will not be able to access it. Okay, so I will not be able to get into it, right? Because I'm using PC, not Mac. Okay. So both Pages and Google Doc do allow you to export as PDFs, so you do have that option. Or you can, as a Tamusa student, you pay for Microsoft 365. So you can use Microsoft 365 and create everything in Word. Okay, and that is my advice to you. Okay. Again, the grade breakdown. And then we have and this is the first time that we're using Blackboard Ultra. And Blackboard Ultra is going to express all grades, for better or worse. In the student view, it expresses all grades as percentages. So just be aware of that. Okay, the course is point based, but it's going to express every grade via percentages. Okay, unless I can find a way to circumvent that. Okay, you need to submit all work by August the 8th. Okay. I'm not going to penalize you for late work per se, but I will say that if something is really late, I am probably not going to give you feedback on it. That's just a reality. Okay. So timely submission is paramount if you want uh, significant feedback, right, on your work. Okay. Um, Communication, you need to be checking your Tamusa email daily, Monday through Thursday, throughout the course. I will be sending a lot out through Blackboard announcements. So you want to make sure that your Blackboard emails are not going to your clutter folder. I do not check Blackboard messages. I don't, right? Okay, for one thing, there's no notification that goes out when I receive a Blackboard message. So I may not, if you send me a Blackboard message, I may not see it for days and days and days, if at all. So I don't check Blackboard messages at all. I check my Tamusa email, and that's what you need to be using to communicate with me, right? So just a statement on AI. AI is problematic in some sense. Basically, there's a lot of good uses for AI. For one, You can use it to help you define terms, different things. You can use it essentially the same way that you would use Google in many cases. Um, what you really don't want it to do is to have it generate, um, like, for example, an essay for you, right? So you can use it as a tool, not as an end in and of itself. Okay. Um, all of these other policies or policies and so forth that you have seen many, many, many times. Y'all are not probably, this is a summer course, you're probably not brand new to Tamusa. The one thing that I will say is that the office hours and so forth listed for the various offices on campus, etc., those are may or may not be in effect because of the summer. So you want to check with those offices as need be, right? And then I'm just going to make sure that I have covered everything. Yeah. So I'm going to stop sharing the syllabus, um, and then we're going to move on over to our Blackboard site. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this. Then I'm going to screen share our Blackboard site. Let's just see how this goes. Here we go. Sorry about looking at my forehead there for a second. I'm an old man trying to look at stuff. Okay. Here is our Blackboard site. So let's take a look at this. Actually, this is not our Blackboard site. This is my Blackboard activity stream. Um, looks like everything that I've done for the past 4 or 5 weeks has to do with our site. So that's why a lot of our site stuff is coming out. But I'll go into our site. Okay, right. Click on it. What I'm going to do is click over to student view so mine looks the same as yours. Okay. All right. So first of all, um, we've got getting started. I've got a link to course content here. Okay. Um, syllabus is here. We've already looked at that. This video will probably also be here when I post it. Okay. I also, again, up here on content, put a link here. So everything is linked to course content. Let's just go to course content. Okay, so I've got the syllabus. You see the syllabus. Here's the course calendar. We click over to the course calendar. You'll see that all of the assignments are open and all of the assignments are active and they are listed. They're listed here. So technically, you could, as of July 8th, you could begin working through the course, etc. Again, though, like with the discussion boards, you do need to comment on someone else's post. So that kind of hinders you working too far ahead. But you can you can certainly read ahead and so on and so forth. So let's again go back to course content. Um, here's the assignments folder that I was telling you about. So again, this is the so with the discussion forums. I mean, week one is not the best example, but what I'm asking you to do is to talk to me about your relationship with poetry um, to the present. What got you interested in poetry? Are you just curious about it? Do you compose your own poetry? Do you have a favorite poet? Do you have a favorite, say, like hip hop artist that in your mind is a true poet, etc., right? Or songwriter of another genre, right? Like Townes Van Zandt, for example, brilliant songwriter from the 70s. Anyway. So, but basically to do a discussion post, you can click on this link. It takes you over to discussion post, and it's going to ask you to create a thread. Um, it gives you the instructions and so on. Okay. And you would create your thread, and you're not going to be able to see the responses to anything until you create your own thread, right? So that's paramount, right? That you create your own. So, for example, if something's due at the end of the week, you want to create your thread sort of in the middle of the week so that you can see responses and respond to somebody, right? Again, I'm not penalizing for late material, but you don't want to fall behind. It's just not a good idea. Okay. Um, again, let me just go back to the assignments real quick. Poetry journal. You would upload. So, for example, and click on this. Um, create create submission. Actually, no, sorry. You upload files, right, and then browse and upload. Okay, right. Um, again, going back.
You want barbecue sauce?
Please.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fours? Good?
Yeah.
They good?
Yeah. Thank you. I just got my dinner brought to me by a lovely individual. Um, so again, this is very low tech. Done in a bedroom on the northwest side. That Facebook calls it the area populated by not so rich white people. Incidentally, okay. So, and then here's an example. So when I'm asking you to engage with the reading material, right, I give you several options and then I give you that out. We go down to poetry project draft. I give you some suggestions here. And again, I'll add more material as we near to that. You're getting, in fact, one of the discussion board posts is a discussion. It is going to be a whole like brainstorm about the poetry project, right? So we'll have a bit of time to engage for you. Actually, I'm actually expecting you to have your draft of the poetry project, right? Okay, let me just, and I'll briefly go through and show you some other stuff in course content. So we come down here, general poetry resources. So I'll show you something in here. This is a link to YouTube, and it's a playlist of like 45 contemporary poets, like as in folks writing, within the last 15 years or something, contemporary poets reading their own poetry, and it shows. So if you're not feeling, what necessarily what we're looking at in the readings and so forth, because I mean, we're basically surveying the last 200 years, from the British Romantics to through to sort of some heavy hitters in postmodern uh, poetry uh, movements, I should say. But if some of it you're not feeling or whatever, you can always hit over to here to get inspiration. You can also do that for working on your poetry project if you want to write your own poem, different things like that. So you can always hit over to this. Um, this is like a photocopy somebody did of the uh, poetic terms part of the Norton Anthology of Poetry. But I'm going to show you that what I've got linked for you, you'll be able to sort of navigate a lot of those terms fairly easily, I hope. So we go to course content. And if we look, for example, in week one, and I'm just not going to spend a whole lot of time. First of all, for week one, I do definitely recommend that you watch this British Romantics uh, um, documentary, because it really sort of places them in a time and a place, and it talks about their significance, etc. Okay. So, for example, if we look at Samuel Taylor Coleridge, right? Um, so there's a brief introduction to Coleridge. We look at, say, for example, and so what I try to do is try to give you the poem, somebody reading the poem or performing the poem, and then the poem analyzed. And again, I'm not expecting you, for example, if you like after watching the documentary, you're like, oh, I'm gonna look at Coleridge, right? I'm not expecting you to really go through all of this with a fine-tooth comb kind of thing. For example, the only reason I included Christabel is because it's really the first place that you see in sort of English literature, right? It's the first place that you see vampires sort of alluded to. So I included it for that reason, because a lot of people are into vampires, right? But really, I include a lot on the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. But for example, though, I make heavy use of a particular website. Like if we click on Kubla Khan, this Kubla Khan analyzed, um, what we have here, and I hope it's switched over with my screen share. But what we have here is we have and you'll see when you click on it, even if it didn't. But what we have here is you've got an explanation of the poem, you've got the poem in most cases, you've got and then you've got a line by line discussion of the poem and a thematic discussion of the poem. um and it does, again, I don't know if you're seeing this on your end or not, because because I don't know what screen is sharing and what screen isn't actually at present. But it you can click on literary terms and it will take you to a brief definition of those literary terms. That was my point, right? Let me go back here to, okay. Um, so, and then, and again, unless you're really into Rime of the Ancient Mariner, I'm not expecting you, for example, to watch this whole lecture on the Rime of the Ancient Mariner and poetic technique. And then there's another. The reason why I included two here is because a lot of people contend that the Rime of the Ancient Mariner is more or less, in some ways, sort of debunks, or not debunks, but abandons, right, the issue, abandons faith, and so forth. This piece here at the end, this here piece here clearly, um, you know, claims that Rime of the Ancient Mariner is a piece deeply steeped in faith, right? So, anyway, just giving you that contrast there. Okay, I think probably that's enough for the moment as far as where to navigate. Just remember, you can click on it just about anywhere and get to course content, right? Uh, my information is here too. Just, I mean, like that, for whoever wants to look at it. It's my CV, my curriculum vitae basically talks about what I've been doing professionally for the last 25 years or so. All right. Well, that's this for this video. I will probably have it posted at some point tonight or tomorrow, depending on YouTube and Zoom, etc., and so on. But anyway, welcome to the course. If you need anything or curious about anything, please do email me. And remember, I need that first post on that first discussion board one. I need that by before or by the 10th. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Happy 4th of July.